Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I am back with another video for Create a Smile. I am going to be doing some watercoloring today, and I'm using Timed to Say Thanks. That's the only stamps that I'm going to be using. Using my Heat Embossing Buddy bag, say that 3 times fast, to just lay down on my paper, clean up any areas that might have a lot of static on it, and then I'm going to heat set this all with white embossing powder. There's something that's just like super classic about white embossing powder and watercoloring to me, so I wanted to, go ahead and embrace that. I always keep a dry paintbrush that's just hanging around so I can clean up any stragglers, pieces of powder that get where I don't want them. And then I tried to stamp a couple of leaves and then put on the powder, heat set, stamp a couple of leaves just to minimize the amount of heat setting that I was doing, because between the embossing and the watercolor, there was like a lot of heating going on. So I used 3 of the beautiful leaves that are included in this set, and I stamped them each 3 times, working in a visual triangle. And this also ensured that at the end, I was going to have 9 images, which would still be an odd number. So you saw me there a minute ago. I just tapped my embossing powder with my finger. And the reason that I did is because I use my embossing buddy bag a lot. And if you try to use it over embossing powder that is still hot, you can smear your embossing powder. I know that sounds like kind of crazy, the idea of smearing embossing powder, because it's such a solid thing, but if it's still warm, you can totally smear it. I've done it. Don't make the mistakes that I've made. So for this last one, I wanted to use this as a filler, and I wanted to tuck it behind some of the other images. I had these masks already done because I always save mine. You could have just used a post-it note or a scrap piece of paper. It doesn't have to be perfect because you have the paintbrush that you can clean up your edges with. So after I stamped these, I went ahead again and heat set them. And once all of that was done and we were good to go, we're going to go ahead and tape it down. I'm using the Gambi Tansy. I've made like 8 videos with these things, and I still don't know how to pronounce the name of that. It would probably be efficient of me if I went ahead and looked that up. I probably won't. I'll say it wrong the next time too. So anyway, I am using a wide brush just to add down some clean clear water all over my background. And I really wanted to just use classic fall leaf colors. Here in Ohio, there are leaves falling like mad crazy everywhere. And one of my husband does for his second job is he does lawn care. And no joke, there was a lady's house he just did over the weekend, and the pile of leaves that he had accumulated was over 6 feet tall. It's actually taller than my husband, the leaves. So just, they're crazy around here, but beautiful when they're still on the trees. So that's how I picked my colors, and I'm working in the visual triangle, working in those 3s. I ended up using 2 reds, 2 greens, a yellow, and an orange in the background, but I am not being particular whatsoever about where those colors go down. It doesn't matter to me. This is one of the beautiful things about this technique, is you just slap it on, and however it looks, it looks like it's gonna be beautiful, because those colors will work together. Even colors that are complementary, where normally you would mix them and you would get brown. I put my green next to my red, and it didn't end up just being totally hideous. There are ways, I guess, I wouldn't put them right on top of each other, but if their edges touch, it's okay. It's going to give you lots of really good variation, and that is pretty in and of itself. So after I got all of my colors down on here, I wasn't working with a lot of water. So you can see those colors are pretty stagnant. They're staying exactly where I put them. I wanted them to move around a little more, so I'm going to go ahead and get a water spritzer mini mist. It's not a mini mister. My bottle's much bigger than that, but you know what I'm saying. Spray bottle. Hello, spray bottle, Kelly. Oh my goodness. That's what I'm going for. So anyway, I got a water that spray bottle and I just spritzed it a couple of times. I'm going to use that to help the pigment move around, and then also I'm going to use my heat tool. So you can see here as it's blowing on there, it is moving that pigment around and helping them to blend together. So this is all dry. Watch this. This is so good. Oh my god. Did I just, yeah, I totally did. I wiped it all away. I just meh, wiped it away. My intention when I went in there was I was going to try to wipe off the color that was sitting on top of my embossing powder. What I ended up doing was wiping away pretty much the whole thing. So I could see where I had put the colors before. I just went back in and did it all over again, spritzed it, heat set it again. The reason I left this in, let me tell you, you never get to see what's on the editing room floor of people's videos. Everybody makes mistakes. I mean, I just took a wet baby wipe to watercolor and thought, I don't know, that it was going to stay there. I mean, yeah, that happened. You watched it happen. So don't get discouraged if you make an error. Everything's fixable. Here in this, I have the largest watercolor set of this, and included in that is a pearlized white. So I added some splatters of that, and then took it off the board once it was dry, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim that down. Here is the piece as it stands now. I really wanted to do something to help those leaves pop off of the background, since I lost a little bit with the white embossing, because obviously after I made that huge error, I wasn't going to risk it again to clean up any of my embossing lines. If the paint was on top of the white, the paint was on top of the white, and I just moved on. So I'm going in with some warm grays, and I chose warm grays because the colors that I used in my background were all really warm. And I'm going to tell you right now, warning, you cannot color over embossing powder with your Copics. It will ruin your nibs. You can't do it. So I'm not coloring on top of mine. I am coloring directly next to it. Does this mean you have to take a little bit more time? Yes. Do I think that the end result is worth it? Yes. So I went in with my darkest marker, and then I'm going to, that was W7, I'm going to go in with W5 and make that shadow a little larger. And you don't have to be as careful as you move out away from that embossing powder, because you're not right on top of it like you are with that first line. So then from there, I went in with W3 just to blend it all the way out. And even though this is just a little bit of shading, you can see here how it really brings those leaves to the forefront. And that was exactly what I was going for. So here I have all my little pieces, parts to start putting together the card. I decided that I was going to mount some craft foam on top of, or behind my watercolor panel. So I did that, and then I mounted it to just a slightly larger square of white, just to have it a little bit of matte to break it up from my colored card base. I didn't want them sitting right on top of each other. So I went ahead and did that, and then again, error. There was all kinds of errors in this card, but you know, at the end of the day, it came out all right, and I'm pretty happy with it, and so that's cool. After I did this, I went ahead and mounted that, my colored cardstock, which is Burnt Orange by Simon Says Stamp. I went ahead and mounted that to my card base. I cut it about 1/4 of an inch smaller so that there would be a white border. I wanted that continuity that it would give my card, white border, white border. In hindsight, I kind of wish that I wouldn't have, maybe I should have trimmed my panel down smaller, because I just felt like it was really large at the top. So here I wanted to do a white heat embossed sentiment. This is where my error comes in. I should have done it before I adhered my colored cardstock to my card base. I didn't. It didn't happen. So my card base is slightly warped. And again, it is what it is. I'll put it underneath the book. It will be fine by the time it goes through the mail to its intended recipient. I'm not going to lose sleep over the fact that it's a little wonky on the right hand side. It's all right. So, you know, after I did that, I just went ahead and heat set it. If there's any areas that don't set all that great, you can just fix it with a white gel pen. Done that before. And then I'm going to go ahead and mount the stamped panel to the card. And I'm done. The card's completed. That's the whole shebang right there. So I'm still pretty happy with the way that it came out, even though I do feel like that panel is a little large. But you know, it's all right. It's going to make somebody happy, right? So thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.